Good evening, sir.
Hello, Saurabh. Hello, Lena. Hello, Razana.
Hello,
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah, finally, I have a little break from tomorrow. Holidays are starting here in India for Holi.
Oh, holy good.
Yeah, Razana knows about Holi. She's been with us for some time. Okay, Lena, do you know anything about Holi, the festival, Indian festival?
No, I
It's a
don't know
festival of
about it.
colors. You will get to know in the group there will be photos, pictures, video, and you will learn so much about how we celebrate this.
Hmm? दिखाओ
Sir, did you celebrate Holi today?
Because today was the last day at school,
Uh,
and the students, they just wanted to play Holi with their classmates, with their teachers. So yeah, I looked like a ghost. I was very badly colored. I was almost non-recognizable. And then I had to clean my face. You
you
can
know,
still see some of the
at the moment
color.
you are looking shiny. Shine.
Funny. Hey Sumit, hey Sanjeev,
Good evening, sir.
good evening. So we have already started the story, the
Yes.
storyteller. Yesterday we listened to the first part, and from what we read and listened, we understood that this auntie was a typical middle-aged woman, um, not very clever, to be honest. That's not the impression I got about her or of her. From the line that Saki wrote there, why was she so surprised that there were some sheep in one of those fields? Because the same sheep were in every field. So why was she so excited to see them? And why did she expect the children would be excited to see those sheep? If you notice, I'm not using the word sheeps, okay? Because the plural of sheep is sheep. You have already sent me your answers. Lovely. Good job. So what happens next? Or maybe I'm going to play the audio file once again, help you with a few things here in the text. Hey, this is 9.10.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Hello, Aisha. Part 2. Listen to this story, this part, everybody, those who were absent yesterday, and try and understand the character, the personality of this woman, the auntie in the story.
The aunt's story.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Did I share 9.9 or 10 yesterday?
Sir, 9.9. This year, 9.9.
9.9. The Storyteller. Part 1.
It was a hot afternoon.
It was a hot afternoon.
And the hour-long train journey
and the hour-long train journey. So here is the answer to your first question. How long was the train journey? It was an hour long. Yeah, the sentence here says the hour-long journey had only just begun. But when you are asked this question, how long was the train journey? You are supposed to say it was an hour long. Okay, how long was the train journey? It was an hour long. That is how you are supposed to write. You can't write the hour long. Yes, you read this here because of the flow of this sentence here. But when you're asked this question with these words, how long was the train journey? I am expecting all of you to write, it was an hour long. It was an hour long. That's all. It was an hour long.
Sir, 1 hour is not correct.
Yeah, you can use 1 hour as well. It was 1 hour long. Okay. But not the hour, okay? Had only just begun. The journey had only just begun. Yeah, it had only just begun.
Had only just begun. There were 5 people in the railway carriage.
There were 5 people in the railway carriage. Okay. There were 5 people in the railway carriage. Carriage word is used for what we call compartment. Okay.
2 young girls and
2 young girls and
their brother, sitting with their aunt and a young man.
Sitting with their aunt and a young man.
Who was sitting alone in the corner.
Who was sitting alone in the corner.
The young man had already begun to think he'd chosen the wrong carriage to sit in.
The young man had already started to regret, being there. He had already begun to think he had chosen the wrong carriage to sit in. He had already begun to think he had chosen the wrong carriage. So think of his thoughts in his mind while he was there. I think I have chosen the wrong carriage to sit in. I think I have chosen this is the thought he has in his mind. I think I've chosen the wrong carriage. But when you see this line written here, the young man had already begun to think he had chosen the wrong carriage to sit in. And now you become that young man and think, what are those words in your head? I think I've chosen the wrong carriage to sit in. These children are not going to let me read my book. Okay.
The children were hot, tired, and bored.
The children were hot. Hot also means attractive, but clearly not here. Context. If anybody, no matter how senior they are, if they ask you to believe this hot here is attractive, would you accept that? Not at all. Why would they say the children were attractive? Because then the other 2 things don't make that sense. The children were feeling hot, they were tired, and they felt bored.
And behaving badly.
And they were behaving badly. See, the youngest girl
was singing the first line of a song.
The first line of a song over and over again.
Over and over again.
Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's.
Everything the aunt said began with don't.
Everything the aunt said began with don't. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't shout. Don't look out. Don't. Everything the aunt said began with don't.
And everything the children said began with why?
Now, this tells you a little bit. When I was young, I used to just read the lines, guys. I could not read between the lines. I could not really understand what the person was trying to tell us. It took me time, to understand that when writers write things, they want to convey some message. They're not simply giving you what was going on there. They're telling you more than that. Okay, so these two things tell us a little bit about the way the children were. The children were curious. The children were curious. Would you say yes or no? Curious people ask questions. Why? Why?
Yes.
Okay. Everything the children said began with why.
Don't put your feet on the seat, Cyril.
Don't put your feet on the seat, Cyril. Okay, the name of the guy. Don't put your feet.
Why not? Because you'll make it dirty.
Now, if you look at this child, look at the age of this boy, does he not know that he is going to make it dirty? But I don't understand why the aunt has to answer this question instead of asking, what do you mean, why? Okay, I mean, sometimes you have to ask them to think about what they're doing instead of just tell them from your side, oh, because you'll make it dirty.
And don't stare at the man.
Don't stare at the man.
Oh, look at those sheep in that field.
Oh, look at those sheep in that field. She's talking to this boy. Look at his eyes. And she thinks she can distract this guy, all right, with that statement. That tells you how silly she is. I went to class 1 and it was a little new experience for me. So I went a little too fast. I wrote down a few things on the board. Didn't realize that children need time to write. They're class 1 kids, 6, 7 years old. So in 2 days' time, I figured out that I need to go at a certain pace with them, not like in other places, what I've been doing so far. If I had continued that way, I would have called myself stupid. Not because I made the mistake on the first day. The first day, I went a little too fast in the class because I was used to this and I didn't realize what speed was good enough for them. I did slow down, but not enough. It took me a little bit time, a couple of days to figure it out. So there is so much of it on everywhere. I know.
Sir, do you teach English there in the school?
No, I'm going to do it after the lesson. I'm sorry. You were saying something, Sumit?
Yeah, sir. I was asking that do you teach English in your school?
Look, when I'm in class 1, I don't have to teach a subject to help them. Okay. I have to just be with them. Whether I talk about their kitchen or I talk about their clothes or anything, English is a language for
So
class 1, 2,
in the
3.
diary they write what? The subject they write is English.
Well, because it's our school, okay, so we can take care of that. Yeah. Too many formalities, too little result. That's the
There's
problem.
one.
Are you talking to us, Sunita?
Yes, sir. I was saying that where's Manisha, sir? Nowadays, she is not coming.
You're asking me?
Yeah, I thought that you know the reason.
Isn't she your Manisha Di?
Yeah, I'm talking about Manisha.
Then?
Not. I want where. I want the reason that where she is.
So why don't you call her?
Because I'm not getting time.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to go, but somehow I was busy.
Hmm.
Are you calling? What happened, sir?
Yeah. Right now, just as you're asking me, write this question. Where are you, Manisha Di? I'm missing you. Sunita, you are a unique. You're unique. All right. She's
Why?
asking. Yeah, you're asking me where Manisha is. It's amazing, you know. All right, guys. Let's continue. Anyways, so where were we? The children were hard behaving. The youngest girl saying, "Where were we? What were we talking about?" Yeah. Yes. I said that this line, you know, that she says, "Look at those sheep in that field." To this boy, that convinces me that she's not very clever. She doesn't understand what she really needs to do to keep these children engaged, okay, to get their attention. Nearly every field the train had passed.
Nearly every field the train had travelled past.
Nearly every field the train had traveled past. PAST. This is a preposition. Nearly every field the train had traveled past had sheep in it.
Had had sheep in it.
Nearly every field the train had traveled past had sheep in it. It is past perfect, guys? Or do you think it is a typo? No. It is past perfect, okay? Again, going backwards in a story, you know, we use the past perfect more than colloquially. Colloquially, we don't use past perfect as much, okay, as often. She said, "Don't stare at the man. Don't stare." Well, this is good manners, no doubt, okay? So she's teaching him some good manners as well. But then her intentions are good, clearly. Right, guys? Her intentions are good. But she's just not capable. Why would she say this line otherwise?
So the aunt's surprise was difficult to explain.
So the aunt's surprise was difficult to explain. Why was she so surprised? Why was she so excited to see those sheep in the field? Because nearly every field the train had traveled past had sheep in it. So there was nothing new. Why was she surprised? The aunt's surprise was difficult to explain. Actually, she was not surprised. She thought that saying that line, she could distract the children, you know, into looking outside, and then the man would be more relaxed, perhaps. She was a little bit nervous about the man feeling annoyed because of the boys.
Why is that man taking the sheep into the other field?
Why is that man taking the sheep into the other field? Now, children have so many such questions. Now, of course, you know, you can use sarcasm, you can use your imagination, but then what do? She does this. Perhaps there is more grass in that field.
Asked the younger girl.
Perhaps there's more grass in that field,
replied the aunt.
But there's
Perhaps there is more grass in that field. That's why he's taking the sheep into the other field. Okay.
lots of grass in both fields.
See? But there is lots of grass in both fields. She can see that. Why would she say this then? If the little girl can see lots of grass in both the fields, then why would she give this answer? And I would want to ask you, if the little girl had said, "Oh, okay, auntie," what would you consider that girl? Even if it was clear to everybody that both the fields had a lot of grass, then what would you call that child? Dumb. Yesterday, Lena wrote, sometimes it's difficult to know what is good behavior, what is right. Isn't it, Lena? So people say, listen to your parents, be obedient. But is being obedient always a good thing? Is being obedient always a good thing? Not very sure. If every generation was 100% obedient, then this world would be stuck maybe in the Paleolithic age. Because everything that you see, new things, they have come because of some rebellion, because of somebody not accepting what other people said. Hey, Simran.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. You missed the class yesterday and you wanted the recording. I'm sorry you couldn't share. I'm going to share tonight, okay? Yesterday's recording as well. Okay.
Well, perhaps the grass is better in the other field.
Perhaps the grass is better in the other field. Okay. She has started a cycle where she's only going to feel frustrated. A lot of parents, a lot of teachers I see doing this. Okay. I sometimes end up doing the same as well. When I realize it midway, I back off and I try and surrender that, okay, I'm not sure of it. Let's think together. You join me and we all think together. Let's think what could be the reason instead of me telling you this is the reason.
Why is it better?
Why is it better?
Came the immediate question from Cyril. The young man was looking annoyed.
The young man was looking annoyed. Okay, I have noticed this in my life. I have experienced this multiple times. Children who were considered bad or children who were considered badly behaved, slow. Okay, when I met them, my personal reading or assessment of their intelligence, their character was very different from what other people around me said, maybe their parents, maybe other teachers. And most times I was right. I managed to see something else in them, which other people could see later. So I think it's like, I definitely have an advantage when it comes to dealing with young children, how you approach them, where is the fine balance? A lot of people do. A lot of people do. I'm not saying I'm unique. I'm saying I have an advantage when I look at myself compared to other people around me, a lot of them. But I know when I was a young boy, there were some teachers, they understood child psychology better than other people, and because of which they were more successful in getting the result they wanted from the children. If you know how the children actually think, if you understand their psychology, then you'll be able to influence them the right way. You'll be able to get the result you want from them. Otherwise, you'll keep struggling, and at the end, or in the end, you will just blame them. They're not nice, they're not good enough. It's not your failure.
I imagine he doesn't like children.
The young man was looking annoyed. He was looking annoyed. Everybody, annoyed is an adjective, ed adjective. He was looking annoyed. I imagine he doesn't like children. The aunt thought. I imagine he doesn't like children. I'm not sure he doesn't like the children. He doesn't like children. I think he's just annoyed with the way everything is playing out there. The aunt and the children, their conversation.
The aunt thought.
Come and sit over here, all of you, and I'll tell you a story.
Come and sit here, all of you, and I'll tell you a story. Okay. My children in class 1 have already started rejecting me when I try and tell them the story, because they want me to tell them stories in Hindi, and I tell them stories in English. So, of course, it is not the same fun because they've never been exposed to spoken in English language. So I do my best, but still it is going to take some time before they start to understand me. A couple of students are much better. They have fast grasping ability. They understand things faster. But some of them still, sir, do it in Hindi. Tell us the story in Hindi. It's a struggle. But then I have to find other ways, I mean, it's not easy when for 5, 6, 7 years of their life, they have not really been exposed to this language. And then somebody comes and tries to teach them this language, there is bound to be a little bit of resistance. It's natural. So, next question. The question was, do you think the children will enjoy the aunt's story? Some people said no. Rosanna said no because she thought the story is not going to be a new one. They might have listened to that story multiple times before. Anybody else has to say anything? Why the children will like the story or why the children will not like the story? The aunt will tell. Otherwise, we'll move on. Read and listen to the second part of the story. Yeah, I know. They have already sent me the answers here. Take a look. Yeah, just a second. It's not here, it's here. You could have simply written submit. It was 1 hour long. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. I'm ignoring the typos. Okay. Okay. Listen, Sumit. The man was thinking that he, and then you have used has. Has is the present
I
tense, isn't
thought
it? Yes.
had, but I didn't write because of thinking. The man was thinking
Listen,
at
listen,
that
listen,
time.
listen, listen. If you are the man, your thoughts are, I have chosen a wrong carriage. I have chosen a. What are you doing inside the bag?
He does the homework, so I'm surprised.
Oh, he's done the homework. Okay, okay, good for you, good for you. So the man was thinking that he had chosen. He was thinking that he had chosen a. Okay, these are not the man's words. Okay, the man's words were I have chosen a wrong carriage.
Okay, if I had written I, then I could write has with it.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
you don't need to write that. You need to use inverted comma. Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
Then you will write I have chosen a wrong carriage. They asked questions about everything their aunt said not to do. Yes. So that she can stop her children from behaving that way and asking questions again and again. I don't think so. I think aunt's purpose for telling the story is to teach the children to behave well. The children would find boring because they won't be able to connect their own thoughts with the story. Okay. How long was the journey? Where were the children? Why were the children behaving badly? The man was thinking that he had chosen the wrong carriage. Okay. What kind of questions did the children ask? Why? Why did the aunt decide to tell them a story? When the children started behaving badly, the aunt noticed that the young man sitting in front of them looked annoyed. Okay. You don't need this comma. Okay, here. Because this is your subject. The young man sitting in front of them looked annoyed. So you don't need to separate the subject and the verb. Okay? Yasmin ma'am? So this comma is unnecessary. But I love the way you write. Okay? Very well done. So she decided to engage them with a story. Great. You think the children will enjoy the story? No, I don't think the children will enjoy because mostly elderly people don't have new stories to share every day. They get bored listening to the same stories again and again. Well done, Yasmin ma'am. Very good job. You know, when somebody like you does their homework, it is such an inspiration for the rest of the students here, you know. I don't think children will, okay? I don't think the children, specific group,
Okay,
okay?
the thing is
I
missing
don't
here.
think the children. Sorry, Yasmin ma'am, what did you say?
I think I missed here.
Think and the children. I don't think the children
Yes, sir.
will enjoy the story because the aunt would be under pressure. So she may tell unenjoyable story. But it also depends on the story. Okay. The aunt decided to tell them a story because she realized that the young stranger was, because you are going in the past. Okay, everybody, learn. This is where Hindi and English is different. Okay, I know all the Hindi speakers will think of is here, but the aunt decided to tell them a story because she realized that the stranger was getting annoyed.
Yes, sir. Was getting abused.
Okay. The children, not only children. Children means all children in the world, in general, children in general.
The children.
The children.
The children.
Then,
Okay. I get it. He is writing, children are curious to know everything. That's why they always ask questions with why. Okay, fine. So that's why the children in the cave. Okay, children are curious to know everything. That's why the children in the story always ask questions with why. Here, don't use they, because you don't mean to say these, okay? You mean to say the children in the story. So first line is fine, I understand. Children are curious to know everything. That's why the children in the story too always ask questions with why. Do you agree, Saurav?
yes, sir.
You understand why I'm asking you not to use the pronoun they here?
Yes, sir.
Because
Got
the
it.
first line you are making a general comment about children. And in the second line, you're talking about a specific group of children, the children in the story. So how can you use a pronoun when you have not even mentioned them? So you should use the children in the story. Okay. It shouldn't have written it this way. The man was thinking about his decision about wrong carriage to sit in. Okay. The children. No. You can't use were. Come on, Saurav. If you use there as a subject, then the verb is according to the nearest noun. There was an aunt and her three young, her. What are you talking? Saurav, such blunders. Saurav, you need to rewrite this sentence. And you can't write a, you have to write an. Three young nieces, there were only two nieces. Two nieces. No, they won't. Will they enjoy? No, they won't. The aunt won't tell them a catchy or entertaining story. Catchy is a different thing. Catchy is something that becomes popular. Catchy is something that becomes popular easily. A catchy advertisement, okay? A catchy rhythm. It means everybody will start to hum it. No? So that is catchy.
Sir, captivating is correct here? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Because she's stressed. She can't figure it out how to handle the situation. We were continuously asking questions and creating intense environment. So she decided to tell a story. The children asked questions about why the farmer was taking the sheep to the other field. To the other field. It was singular, to the other field. Why it is happening? It was past tense. You have already asked this. It was unnecessary to write. Was thinking he chose the wrong character. Yeah. Okay. Or he had chosen. He chose or he had chosen. It's also correct. No problem. The children were behaving badly because, okay, people on the train with an aunt with their nephews. How do you write this? An aunt with their nephews. Obviously. I think the children probably won't enjoy the aunt's story. See, because she's writing her opinion, so she used the word probably because she doesn't want to sound certain. I think that children probably won't enjoy the aunt's story because they sense that she wants to keep them calm. They sense that she wants to keep them calm, and they already know the aunt's stories. They think she won't tell a new one. Okay. The aunt decided to tell the children a story to keep them quiet so they wouldn't bother the young man anymore, because she noticed from his face that he was annoyed. Yep. What kind of question? The children asked lots of why questions. Yes. Man was thinking that he had chosen the wrong carriage to sit in. Yeah. Great job. The train journey lasted 1 hour. It seemed like a long hour because it was a hot afternoon. Yeah, okay. We haven't really reached there, whether it seemed like a long hour or not. But yes, it in the beginning, it definitely appeared that way. It had just begun. And the man at least had started to feel, uh, you know, sorry for his decision to sit in that carriage. Okay. The train journey was an hour long, and the people on the an hour long. Okay, you should use the word long. Okay, Lena. The train journey was an hour long. The people on the train are three children with their aunt and a strange young man, a stranger young man. The children were behaving badly because they were hot, tired, and bored. The man was thinking that he had chosen the wrong carriage to sit in. All questions of children began with why. Yes. Instead of, you could also say all questions children asked. Okay, Lena, instead of using the preposition of, there is another option. All questions the children asked began with why. The aunt decided to tell them a story because she thought that the young man didn't like children and he felt bothered. She thought that the young man felt bothered. Okay. I think the children won't enjoy. No need to use be, Lena. No need to use be. I think the children won't enjoy this aunt story. Okay, because the behavior of the aunt shows that she doesn't understand the children. For example, everything the aunt said began with don't. This is the bad way to speak to children. Thank you, Lena, for being certain about it or being so assertive about it. This is the wrong way to speak to children, guys. You don't do this. She was surprised by ordinary things. The sheep, no need to use S. And the children couldn't understand the aunt's surprise. So I think she won't be able to tell a really interesting story for the children. A really interesting story. Okay, a really interesting story. Okay, great. Thank you everybody for doing your homework. I appreciate it. Now we are going to listen to the second part. What happened? Read and listen to the second part of the story. Here is the second part. I'm going to play the audio.
(9.10) The Storyteller, Part 2. The Aunt's Story.
The children did not look at all excited by the aunt's offer. They'd obviously heard her stories before, and this one was very boring indeed. It was about a beautiful young girl who worked very hard and behaved perfectly. Everyone in the village loved her. One day she fell into a lake, and of course, everybody ran to save her immediately.
So they saved her because she was so good?
Asked the bigger girl.
Exactly so,
said the aunt.
But that's silly,
said the girl.
When people are in danger, you always try to save them. You don't ask whether they're good or not.
Well, perhaps they ran a little faster to save her because she was so good,
the aunt replied.
Oh, how stupid,
said the girl.
It's definitely the most stupid story I've ever heard,
said Cyril.
It was so stupid, I didn't even listen to it,
the younger girl said, and began singing the first line of her song again.
You're not a great success as a storyteller,
said the young man suddenly from the corner.
Well, it's not easy to tell stories that young people can understand and enjoy,
the aunt replied, sounding stressed.
I don't agree,
said the young man.
Well, perhaps you would like to tell them a story then,
she suggested.
Okay,
said the young man, and he began.
(9.10) The Storyteller, Part 2. The Aunt's Story. The children did not look at all excited by the aunt's offer.
The children did not look at all excited. Excited again, an ed adjective. Exciting, ing adjective. The children did not look at all excited by the aunt's offer. The aunt, the definite aunt, specific aunt there in the story. The children did not look at all excited by the aunt's offer.
They'd obviously heard her stories before.
They had obviously heard her stories before.
And this one was very boring indeed.
Very indeed. Very and indeed are often used together. Very and indeed to make it stronger, more intense. This story, one here is a pronoun. One here is a, for which noun?
Pronoun.
Which noun has it replaced?
Story.
This story was very boring indeed. This one was very boring indeed.
It was about a beautiful young girl who worked very hard and behaved perfectly.
Such stories are a success as long as the children have not developed their individuality. When you're talking to 3-year-old children, 4-year-old children, a lot of them won't mind listening to stories about a child who was perfect, because by that time, until that time, I would say, they actually consider themselves good, because parents are not harsh with them. They don't stop them from doing many things because they're mainly doing what the parents say. But then they become 6, 7, 8, and their individuality starts to take over. They want to, assert themselves everywhere, at home, in the class, with friends, between their siblings, among their siblings. They want to assert their personality, their individuality. And that's where things start to, look different. Parents start to get more annoyed with their own children. The same children that they thought were angels start to look devils. So it was about a beautiful young girl who worked very hard and behaved perfectly. Now, when you tell stories to clever people, clever young kids who are 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, they know such people don't exist. By the time they reach 10, 11, they have started to realize that even their parents have flaws in their personalities. When the kids are small, they believe that the parents are like, perfect people. They don't have any problems in their personalities. Most young kids believe that their papa is the best person in the world. Their mom is the best person in the world. I mean, you can love your parents the same way all your life, but then reality has to dawn upon you when you grow up, and you have to accept that they are just other human beings with a lot of weaknesses in them. And if you can't really accept it, then I'll say you are an emotional fool. As an adult, you have to accept that. As a teenager, you have to accept that. So, yeah. Any thoughts? Any comments? I still remember believing that my papa was the strongest man in the world.
Everyone in the village loved her.
Everyone in the village loved her.
One day she fell into a lake, and of course, everybody ran to save her immediately.
And look at this, of course. One day she fell into a lake, and of course, everybody ran to save her immediately. She fell into a lake, and because, of course, everybody ran to save her immediately because she used to work very hard and she used to behave perfectly. So people ran to save her immediately.
So they saved her because she was so good?
Ask the bigger girl, and you can see in the photo how old she seems. So they saved her because she was so good.
asked the bigger girl.
So they saved her because she was so good. Lucky, how old are you? You still believe that maybe God intervened in certain people's lives because they were good. How old are you? In 19. But you still believe God intervened in certain people's lives because they were good. And then he left the rest of them. छोड़ दे बाकी को. So that little girl there, is asking something that she has noticed. Yeah, that when people are in danger, you always try to save them. She has noticed it. She wouldn't be able to make this comment when she was 3 or 4. But when she has lived in this world for a little longer, she has made these observations. And that's why she did not agree with this assertion from the aunt, this statement of the aunt that, oh, she was saved by, or the villagers ran to save her because she was well behaved. How many of you here would be able to ask such questions? What did she say? That people don't save you, don't run to save you because you are well behaved. And she has noticed this. Whenever there is an accident, anywhere, there are people who try to help. And there are some people who don't try to help. That's also true. But they do not ask for a certificate, character certificate, before trying to help and rescue somebody. This is something that we have all seen. But then, about 100 years ago, about 200 years ago, about 500 years ago, about 1,000 years ago, something happened. Either God intervened to save the situation, and people say, yeah, it happened. So why doesn't it happen now? How many times have you seen? Okay, they'll say, yeah, a child fell off the roof, survived miraculously. It was God. And then another child crossing the road, hit by a truck, dies on the spot. No, God did not feel mercy for that child. Then another argument comes in. Again, another silly argument. Silly, why? Because this girl understands. See, that's silly. How many of us have the confidence to call these things silly? Silly means बेवकूफाना, जिसमें दिमाग नहीं लग रहा हो. They saved her because she was so good, asked the bigger girl. Exactly, sir, said the aunt. That's silly, said the girl. When people are in danger, you always try to save them. You don't ask whether they are good or not. You don't ask.
Exactly so,
said the aunt.
But that's silly,
said the girl.
When people are in danger, you always try to save them. You don't ask whether they're good or not.
Now see another, silly explanation.
Well, perhaps they ran a little faster to save her because
she was so good. So perhaps they ran a little faster because she was so good. So still she's trying to suggest that people help those who have been good. No, people help those who touch other people's lives, who are empathetic, those who are kind to others. Then people remember, how they felt because of that person. They care about that person. Yeah. So not because you have been well behaved. It's about how you make other people feel. Yesterday, I was watching a YouTube video. India Today has done a conclave where there was a 1-hour seminar by a Harvard professor this was about AI, generative AI, and its future impacts on future careers and stuff. He made a point that we need to teach our children how to be empathetic. I try to do this in my class, in my school as well with young children. I ask them to look after each other. Look out for each other. Think of each other as one, as a group. you know, this is something the most important I feel is this feeling, somebody who feels this way, I think that person is going to live a much more fulfilling life than others because of this feeling that you connect with other people, you care about other people. So this girl, she's right. The people did not run to save her because she was well-behaved. They ran to save her because they were kind people, they were empathetic, and they understood that, she was in trouble, the girl was in trouble, she needed to be saved.
She was so good.
The aunt replied.
Oh,
She's still trying to stick to her idea, right?
how stupid,
said the girl.
Now, can you tell me, if a little girl can see this point, why can't the auntie? Please answer now. If a little girl can see this point, it means it is not something that requires you to be very clever. Then why is it that the auntie can't see this point? She's older. She has lived in this world for longer. Why couldn't she understand this, what the little girl can see? Can anyone please try and answer this? If
Maybe
a little
she has
yes,
forced her. Maybe she has been forced to believe all the things from her childhood that their parents believed, and this way she was fed up thinking on her own.
She
She
had
is
kind
doing
of
the same
lost
with
her agency, her ability to
to
use her
think.
common sense and just carry on
To,
with whatever she was told. Okay, that's one answer. I would like to hear some other people. If a little girl can see this point that people try to save you irrespective of you have been well behaved or badly behaved. Nobody asks you to show your character certificate before they try to rescue you. Why couldn't the aunt accept that? Why did she have to, argue again? Why couldn't she simply accept it? What do you have to say? Anybody else? Why is it that
and
young
also,
kids,
sir,
yes, Sumit,
she maybe she wants to impose this idea on the children that uh, behave well uh, unless you
very valid
will
point, isn't
stuck in
it?
situation.
Actually, she believes, again, she believes that she believes that this is how the children are going to be likable. And maybe she actually believes what she's saying, that if you are well behaved, then people will. And maybe she's looking at it from a different perspective. And the child, she's not accepting it because she doesn't want to feel that she's not well behaved. However, in this point, I mean, if you look at just this one example, when somebody falls, suppose a child falls off the roof or falls off a tree, then people around will try to save her, will try to do whatever they can for that girl.
They
They
won't
will
take
not ask
time
who
for.
she is,
Yeah,
how she has been before, well
they
behaved
won't
or
take
badly
time for
behaved.
decision.
Yes. So she's trying to force a fake idea, but the children are smart enough not to accept.
It's definitely the most stupid story I've ever heard.
It's definitely the most stupid story I have ever heard. The most stupid story I have ever heard. You're familiar with these sentences, right? The most stupid story I have ever heard, said Cyril.
Said Cyril.
it was so stupid, I didn't even listen to it.
What does this line tell you about the little girl? It was so stupid, I didn't even listen to it, the younger girl said, and began singing the first line of her song again. What does it show about her? Young kids have this tendency of doing what their elders are doing because the other boy and the girl, the bigger ones, they said it was stupid. So she said that it was so stupid. And she's saying, I didn't even listen to it. If you didn't listen to it, how do you know it was stupid? But because they call it stupid, so she also called it stupid. So children have this tendency of sometimes, some children do it, they just mimic other people's behavior.
The younger girl said,
It's 8:30. So you guys are going to do this exercise, which is easy. You have to just draw lines, but make observations, okay, while you're doing it. Learn something. We will discuss further tomorrow. We'll have another class tomorrow, people, okay? Bye-bye. Good night, everybody.
Did you read the book?
Sorry, Aisha, the book you sent me? And not yet, Aisha. I will though, okay?